Hey guys, these are just 5 examples. Probably take us no longer than I would say 10 minutes max. So probably wouldn't even that long. Probably if you did these by hand, probably be there for like 30 minutes simply because of this problem right here. If you notice number 3 there, it's got an x to the 5th power. And you notice I never gave you one of those on the homework, on the first test. Or on the test, I didn't give you one of those because of the 5th power. Doing the definition, the derivative of that one would take a long time because when you expand that x plus h out 5 times, it would have 6 terms total. And so that one would take quite a while to do. We'll wrap this one here up in about 5 seconds. So when we get to it. So each one of these is going to be very shorter work. The last one that's going to probably cause us the most trouble is number 5, and that one should look somewhat familiar to you. It was one of the very last problem on the test. It says find the equation of a tangent line of y equals x squared plus 1 at 2, 5. And so you had to find the derivative of that function, and then you had to use the point slope formula, or the slope intercept formula is probably better, to find the tangent line. So probably took you about, I'd say 5 minutes on the test at least, maybe not quite that long. I'll do this one in probably 2 minutes at the most. So, but anyway, here is the first one. Okay, all we're going to do here is just find the derivatives, not based on the definition, but based on the power rule that I just taught you in the first video clip. So we're going to find the derivative of this one. So the derivative, and you guys remember, when you're taking the derivative, you can either write f prime of x or you can write y prime. I'm just more comfortable with f prime on these, so it's either way. But and remember, derivative of 5x, well, just by observation, 5x is a line, so the slope is 5 right here, so the slope is 5. So it'd be 5x, or if you want to do it by the power rule, it's 1 times 5, which is 5, and then x to the 0 power, because you got to take this one down by 1, remember. And so it's 5x to the 0, which is 5x to the 0, which is 5. And then the slope, the derivative of 2 is 0 because of the constant rule. You do a derivative of any constant, and 2 is a constant because there's no x in there. And remember, 2 is just a horizontal line. And so the slope at that number is 0. So it's just simply 5. Which makes sense because y equals 5x plus 2 is a linear function. Slope is 5. So no surprises there. Now on number 2 over here, y equals 3x plus 2 minus 5x plus 4. This one's going to be f prime of x 3x squared. Now you might want to pause this and see if you could do it yourself. So just pause it for a few seconds, get the answer, come back to it and see if your answer is going to match what I'm about ready to show you. Okay, so here, hit pause now if you want to. Okay, so now let's get it. So 3x squared, the 2 is on the top, so 2 times 3, which is 6x to the first. Because you bring the 2 down by 1. And the derivative of negative 5x is negative 5, because remember the derivative of 5x is 5. So it's minus 5. And the derivative of 4 is a constant. 4 is a constant, so you can just ignore those because the derivative of that is 0. So the derivative of this function is 6x minus 5. So when you're on your own and you're doing this by yourself, explanations when teachers explain it to you is going to take a little longer because they got to talk. So they talk to you, and so it takes a little longer. But when you're doing this by yourself, you should be able to get these things within 5 seconds at the most. So it shouldn't take that long. The next one, y equals 6x to the 5th minus 3x cubed plus 2x plus 7. It's got 4 terms. So as you can imagine, if you were going to use it by find the derivative by the definition, it would take you quite a while. So f prime of x, which is the derivative, equals. Now again, this would be a good time to pause it to see if you can get it yourself. So pause it now. Okay. All right. So we got 5 times 6, which is 30, x to the 4th, because you bring the 5 down to a 4. And then 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, x to the 2nd. You bring the 3 exponent down to a 2. Derivative of 2x, those are easy because remember, those are just like linear. So derivative of 2x is 2. And we hit that constant enough times by now. Derivative of 7 is 0. So 30x to the fourth minus 9x squared plus 2. So some students really are hating the teacher about right now because they had to go through all this other mess before on test 1, and now we find out these things have an easier way. But remember what I said, there is a purpose of learning the definition. You don't really see it yet. If everything we dealt with was just polynomials, you'd have a point. But it's not all about polynomials. Okay, now this one's kind of tougher because of the square roots, just because people don't know how to deal with them. And the reason I want to show you this one is because people get confused with how to multiply these things out. So the derivative of this one, you bring the 2 out front, that's right. But 2 times the square root of 3, guys, is not the square root of 6. Square root of 2 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 6. But this 2 has no radical. So 2 times the square root of 3 cannot be simplified. You just have to write it down. So you just tack the 2 in front of the square root of 3. So this problem is not any more difficult. It's just I wanted to show this to you because I see a lot of people putting square root of 6 right here on this type of a problem. So 2 times the square root of 3. And notice the variable. The variable is now t, and so something is wrong with this function right now. And hopefully somebody has seen it. It's not f prime of x. It's f prime of t, because the function is in terms of t. So it's not always f prime of x. It's f prime of whatever the variable you're using, in this case, t. And then same thing here. So square root of 7, t to the first. Again, that's a linear, so the number in front represents the slope. So this is going to be the square root of 7, t to the 0, which is square root of 7. And again, 6 is a constant, so we can ignore that, because 6 is a horizontal line. So that's your first derivative. So it didn't take that long. It didn't take that long. Now this one right here probably took you a few minutes. Now, just see how fast it would take you if you do this yourself now. Okay, so pause it, try this one yourself, compare that to the time it took you to do it on the exam. And you're like, wow, this goes a lot faster now. So I'll pause it. Okay, now let's do it. So f prime of x equals 2x to the first. That's the derivative. Derivative of constant is 0. So when you did this on the test, your first derivative should have been 2x. Hopefully that looks familiar. So then what we're going to do is find the slope. Well, the slope is the derivative evaluated at 2. And that makes it 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. So when you graph when you find the equation on the line, the tangent line is y equals mx plus b. And the slope now is 4. So y equals 4x plus b. Now you just have to figure out what the b is, and that's where the point comes in. So 5 is y. 4 times 2 is 8. So it'll be 8 plus b. So b is -3 when you subtract 8. 5 minus 8. Then you get y equals 4x plus b, which is -3. So the equation of the tangent line is 4x minus 3. And we did some of these in class the day before this test. And, the Thursday. And 4y equals 4x minus 3. And you didn't have to graph it. Maybe I made you show the graph, but I can't remember if I put that on the test or not. So y equals 4x minus 3. I think I actually did. It made you to graph this thing. So x squared plus 1 is 0. 1, 1, and then 2, 5 is up here. Alright? So it looks like that. So that's how y equals x squared plus 1. If you were to graph 4x minus 3, this is what it looks like. 1, 2, 3 is the y-intercept. 4 is the slope. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, right there. Bam! Hit the graph right there, which is what it should do. And so if you connect these points, and I'm not the best artist in the world, goes right through there. Notice that line, it just grazes the parabola. That makes it a tangent. So that's what you just did. You found the slope of the tangent line at 2,5. So that's it. Now, again, if you were doing this by yourself and not having a teacher explain it to you and everything else, it'll go a lot faster. You should half your time easily on this problem. Probably more than half these other problems over here. So, but anyway, so I hope the video helps. Shouldn't be. This is something you can almost self-teach yourself anyway. So, but if not, here's the video. You can watch it several times if you want to, and over and over and over. So there's no limit on that. So one good thing about videos is, and being in classes, if a teacher misses something, they can if you miss something what the teacher says, you can always go back on the video. But in class, not always. But in class has its advantages too, because you can ask questions. On videos, you cannot. So, but anyway, send me an email if something you don't understand. I will have class on Tuesday. That will be a lecture. We have class on Monday, of course, too, because that's the day of the exam. And so probably some of you guys won't be watching this video until after the test. I'm doing this actually on Thursday. Doing this video on Thursday. So so it wouldn't matter. I could say, well, ask me questions before the test, but you're not going to see this video anyway. So until afterwards. So have a good one. I will see you on Tuesday, and good luck.